We're not, I don't have it, no. I'm sure I don't have it, so. I'm ready when you are.
Okay, we're going to call this hearing to order. Let the record show that Supervisors Schifani, Fisher, Cassiola, Agizio, and Barney are in attendance. In addition, our solicitor, Gretchen Moore, our township engineer, Dan Dazaroth, our township engineer, Don Januso, and our township assistant manager, Jack King. This item is to consider an ordinance that would rezone property on Coomer Road from the R1 low-density residential zoning to another R1, another residential use. It's our new mixed-use residential category. And I just want to, before we get started, I just want to mention, I know there was a lot of concern, it seemed, recently on Facebook and things like that. I'm not sure quite what the concern was. You have to understand, people have a right to sell their property, and it's the new zoning that mixed-use residential, it's still a residential category, but we had kind of committed to letting some property owners that have a larger tract have some say in what their property, how their property gets developed. We've always, in the past, said that this area is R1, you have to put single-family homes there, and this is R2. Well, we don't know the market. And I guess the developers who are buying this property, they kind of know what the market is. So that mixed use allows for them to pick some uses. There's still residential uses that are permitted uses, but the ordinance specifically says that they have to have 30% single family homes, 10%, a minimum of 30% single family homes, 10% of other mixed uses. But they, in a sense, for the rest of it, they can pick what kind of residential. And the only kind of residential that exists are, garden apartments and, like I said, duplexes and multifamily and single family. So that developer, when he presents a plan, if this gets approved, he's going to show plans showing that mix that that mixed use residential requires. So like I said, I don't know if there was a concern that it was anything about commercial. I don't know if there was a concern that had anything to do with oil and gas, but I just want to tell you that that's what the hearing is about today, to consider that new mixed-use residential that we came up with. Actually, was 2 years ago. COVID hit. We worked on that for almost 3 years on our comprehensive plan, and we created a couple new zones to better accommodate our property owners. And we just want to give them a little bit more say, and instead of us dictating how their property gets used. So that's what the issue is. But you are going to be welcome to comment on it when we get to that. But I just want to mention that first. Do any of the board members have any, first of all, any comments they want to mention about this proposed rezoning? Does everybody know where it's at? It's the greenhouse property on top of the hill, on top of Glass Hill. I don't know if any board members have any questions. Darlene, you're looking at me?
Yes, and the only thing that after all the comments and so on, and traffic, being that there's 4 roads that are going to be affected, which is Glass Hill, Chiffoni Road, Cowden Road, and Coomer Road, has there been a traffic study?
That could be part of it whenever we talk to the developer, but the point is that's an advantage when you have 4 different accesses to a property as opposed to some of our plans that only have 1. And obviously our fire departments have a problem with it when we look at a plan or get presented with a plan that has only 1 access. So, I mean, that can be brought up at the time, but the point is, well, go ahead, Dan.
I just want to answer Darlene's question. If it is rezoned to. I'm sorry. If it is rezoned, a requirement of this zoning district is that a traffic study be provided.
Okay, so that answers it.
It's required. It's a given. It would be required if somebody
But
wants to.
we actually looked at,
For the MUR, yes.
Once a plan is submitted.
Once a plan is submitted.
Right.
Correct.
And this is just the rezoning.
This is just the rezoning.
yeah, we haven't seen any plan. We just know that if he goes to mixed use, there'll be a mix of single family and some multifamily. And remember, this is still America. Property owners have a right to sell to developer. We can't stop it. We can control it and say how many houses they can put and streets and specs and things like that, but you can't, property owner has a right to sell. I know there was a concern about more kids in the school district. We can't govern based on the amount of kids that the school is going to have. The school district has to address that. It's just like, we don't encourage development, but we don't discourage it. It's just not our prerogative to tell what a property owner does with their property.
Is there going to be a presentation tonight that we can hear?
Dan, I don't,
For the developers here, if you, somebody.
I'm sorry, do you have something you could help? Oh, great.
Yes, please.
Please introduce yourself.
I'm here, that's all. My flight was late getting in.
If you could just step to the microphone, we're recording this for purposes of
Which one do we-
keepsake.
This one, little one?
Either one.
Yeah.
But so if you're speaking, can you just make sure you're talking into a microphone? Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here tonight. I'm excited to have all the community members here because this is important, right? This is an exciting time, and for some, and maybe not so exciting for some as well. And
Please give
thanks
us
for
your name,
letting
too.
us be here tonight.
Can you give your name for the record, please?
My name is Chris Hoke, and been a developer for about 10 years. My partner is Dick Harrington here. Dick Harrington's been developing for 40 plus years. He developed largely a big part of South Fayette Township, and a lot of those developments there were done by him and his old partner. Just a really seasoned veteran when it comes to this work. And so we're excited to be here. We're excited to have Paul and Val Jean Schiffoni's property under agreement. It's a beautiful piece of property. It presents itself well to be developed for residential. I want to make sure that I present today, Mr. Cassiola, is that this is going to be, we're asking for this to be rezoned from R1 low density to MUR, which is part of the new comprehensive plan that was approved by you, by the commissioners. And it's part, I think it's Schedule 2 of that plan, 2A, I believe. And just to be clear, we're not going to put any kind of commercial, per the MUR zoning, you can only put residential, like Mr. Cassiola said, so there'll be no commercial property that will be developed up there. It'll be all single-family homes and townhomes, right? We have to have 2 product per this zoning, and so that's what we're going to do. We're going to have single-family homes and somewhere no more than 10% of townhomes. And so just so you can know that. And it's, again, this is a beautiful piece of property. There's multiple ways to access this property. Mr. Cassiola, there's 4 different ways to access the property, which really makes it really is great because you don't overburden one way. You don't overburden Cowden Road. You don't overburden Glass Hill Road and those other roads because there's so many different ways to get there. And so that's what we're asking to do is just to rezone it, Mr. Cassiola and the rest of the commissioners from R1 low density to MUR, and because it's a beautiful piece of property, it's a beautiful school district, it's a beautiful community, and we believe that this will just add to the beauty that's here. So I don't have any slides or anything, but I just want to talk because I think it's good to hear from the developers, from me and my partner.
Can I ask?
I
so-
have a question.
Yes, please.
What type of homes are you planning on put up there? And on how big of a lot? Are they going to be the little postage stamp size homes are being, it's a beautiful piece of property. You've said it 3-4 times. It's
Sure.
a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Are we going to put beautiful homes up there?
100%. Right now, we're working with Ryan Homes, and that's probably who we're going to go with. And we're going to do upscale homes, and we could put a ton of per the zoning and the ordinance. We could put a lot of homes up there. We're backing it off just so that we can put those kind of upscale, beautiful homes, right? And the townhomes will be upscale townhomes. We're not just going to put these raggedy old homes up there. We want to add value to the beauty of this community.
Okay, they're not going to be a cookie cutter home.
They're going to be, if you want to see a Ryan Homes development, that's kind of like, it's not a lower scale, like an entry level type home. It's going to be a nice Ryan Homes type of a development.
So so we have multiple Ryan Home developments in our township. We have ones like Pristine Fields and Timber Run, which are a little bit bigger of a lot, a little bit more open space, sidewalks, things like that. And we have ones that are a lot more, the houses are a lot more close together. And those are like a McConnell's Trails. Do you know what?
We're working on that right now.
But you
Ms.
have
Fisher.
nothing in writing?
That's what we'll present in the next one when we're going for the approval for the plan, the comprehensive plan of our development. Right now, it'll probably, I mean, Vicki, anything?
Please
Can you
come up
step to
first.
the microphone?
Please come up so everybody can hear you.
This is my partner, Dick Harrington.
Good evening. In the zoning ordinance, it presents a chart of minimum lot sizes and minimum side yards. We're exceeding those because we want to have nicer yards. Now, Ryan Homes, that said, Ryan Homes is always looking forward in their marketing, and so what they've been doing, and we've built to that, is not the 100-foot wide lot, but to make sure there's more yard in the back of the house for people to play and have their privacy. So they're going to be nice lots and exceed the I think it's a 50-foot minimum lot size. We're going to be way over that. And
So the public knows the minimum lot size for a single family is 50 feet in width. There's a front yard setback of 25, a side yard setback of 5 feet, a rear yard setback of 25, and the maximum building height of 45 feet or 3 stories. So that's more like, if you're going with that, that's more like a McConnell's Trails.
Yeah, so we're not going to go down to 50, Ms. Fisher. We're going to probably be somewhere between 60 and 65 to 70. So it'd be a little bit bigger than that smaller size. So I don't know the other one that you're referring to, the other development.
So Timber Run and Pristine Fields are wider. They're like 95 to 110.
Probably.
McConnell's Trails is like a 60 to a 75. Dan, correct me at any point if I'm
No,
wrong.
I think you're right on.
So somewhere in between.
Okay. So like the problem, if I'm being frank, with changing the zoning without having a committed plan is that once we make this change, that we are essentially granting you the ability to do any of these things within the ordinance, which would allow you to do like a McConnell's Trail development. And I personally have serious concerns about the roads, as Supervisor Barney brought up, and their ability to handle. I mean, Coomer Road, you can't even come on to Muse Bishop from Coomer Road. So I guess I'm wondering why you went with the MUR instead of an R2, like the R2 PRD direction that would have allowed you as a developer to work with us on road improvements.
Well, it's the zoning in the comprehensive plan didn't really look to doing that because of the MUR in the comprehensive plan.
It was actually
I will
MUC
say
in the
that
comprehensive plan.
In looking at the MUR, it's 64 acres, and if we were to take the density in the MUR, we could put 500 lots on it if we had the zoning for it, and any developer could do that. We're looking to be closer to 100, 110, much less than the zoning allows for.
Yeah. And the question, to answer your question, MUR, because that was the comprehensive plan that you all approved, and we liked it. We liked the opportunity to have 2 different kind of product.
I'm pretty sure the comprehensive plan calls for MUC, not MUR. I could be wrong,
I think
It's
but
MUR.
it's
it's MUR,
specifically,
MUR, and
Yeah.
I believe, not to interrupt, but I believe it's both. Maybe you can go MUR or MUC,
Or
and
their
so.
next- their
it says in Gateway's letter, the property was identified in the comprehensive plan, future land use map, see attached as mixed-use commercial. And here's the map, and it shows
And
mixed.
their
That's correct. Cindy's correct. The comprehensive land use map identified both mixed-use commercial and mixed-use residential in certain areas. This property in particular, and again, when that was done, it was done with a broad brush. It wasn't done with individual properties in mind. This is a specific request. When the developer came in and said what they wanted to do, it appeared that the MUR would best fit what they were looking to do. Because if you go to the MUC, you can do the same thing with MUC, except it's a PRD within the MUC.
I think there's a PRD required within the MUR too.
It's required to meet all the.
Yeah, it says all regulations of section 24041
Yeah,
requirements
you have
for
to
planned residential
You just have
development
to
shall be
provide
met.
the buffers and everything.
Right, but they don't
else
need
that's
to
required.
actually have a PRD. I just want to tell everybody, though, that a zoning change, it's not, we can't condition a zoning change. In other words, if he says, I'm going to do all this, okay, we're going to approve it, since he's saying he'll only do all, say, single family and some multifamily. Zoning can't be changed on conditions. They wouldn't be valid. It's just, we can't do that. So the basic question is, do we change it? And then if it gets changed, then he looks at a plan, and then he comes to us with a plan on what he wants to do with it. But like I said, we can't condition. Well, that's what I was saying, that
That's what
we
I'm saying.
didn't ask for a plan yet, because technically we can't use it. I mean, we either change it or we don't change it.
Trying to do a cluster development because homes would put on. I know you're saying
It's
it's
a great
beautiful,
question, it's a great concern.
but have you actually driven Coomer Road to see
We
that
have,
you
I have, not as
can't?
many times as you have, but I have a few times, and we will be required to do a traffic impact study that will be able to take all those things into account, what kind of traffic flow that this will generate, what kind of impact it'll have on the roads, and that'll all be done and be presented to you to review as we bring the plan forward. So other thing, even though you talk, Mrs. Fisher, about the coming here and doing the 50-foot, you have the right now, we're gonna come to you, it's your duty to look at it and scrub it and say, okay, it's 50 feet, you can then make that decision. You're not tied to 50-foot, 100-foot, 70-foot today. This is just rezoning it, allowing us to put together a plan to come to you for approval.
And at that point in time, we don't want a 50-foot frontage. We want 100-foot lots. We can demand that from you at that point in time?
I mean, you can demand it. I mean, I don't know if it, 100-foot lots, here's the,
I mean, what we're looking for here in Cecil, we're starting to look for either upscale homes that are tax revenued based and/or commercial. And I've been adamant during the comprehensive plan. And the property right across the road, which is 550 acres. MUR on one side of Schifoni Road, MUC on the other side. And that MUC would have been all, hopefully, commercial right off along 980. What do we need here in Cecil? We need more businesses. We need more commercial. And that's the reason why I am so adamant about changing some of this rezoning, because we have a lot of homes, and just like it was said, I know Tom says that you can't do this and you can't do that. However, the schools, our new schools are overcrowded already, and they're only how old? But I'm looking for upscale homes. I'm looking for better commercial and
absolutely, and I would love to have that conversation with you after this rezoning. We've come to you, we can present you the plan, we can have that discussion. I think you'll be really, really happy. You know, we did Lafayette Meadow in South Fayette Township, Nikki and I did together. And they had the commissioners had the same concerns. And I remember talking to the commissioners and sharing with them that, it's going to be a beautiful development. And we looked at some of the things that they asked us to do, and we added those to the development. And they were really, really happy with that. If you want to go look at Lafayette Meadow in South Fayette Township. And that's kind of the development that we want to bring here. Something that everyone can be proud of, and that it can, add to the beauty of this township.
And the average
Well-
price of those houses is roughly 500,000. They go from 800,000 down to 350, but the average is 500,000, which speaks to the tax base that's necessary for a community that's growing.
I mean, to be frank, Lafayette Meadows, I've been over there, has smaller lots than McConnell's Trails.
Well, so it's split. It's split. If you come in, and you go to the right, you have kind of that standard kind of homes. You go to the left, it's the higher end of the homes. And so I think if you stay to the left, it's half and half, approximately. So, but it's a
Was
beautiful
that
development.
whole plan developed by Ryan?
Yes, correct. And it's, I mean, if you talk to people out there, I mean, the commissioners were really happy with that development. I spoke with several of them afterwards, and I think it just turned out to be a beautiful piece added to that area.
I think
What's the
it's
name of the place?
Lafayette Meadows.
Meadow.
I think it's a different aesthetic. I think that Cecil Township is more of a rural community, and I live in a neighborhood. I live in Timber Run. I'm not anti-residential development by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that what has been said in the community a lot is that people prefer a little bit bigger of a lot, a little bit bigger. It doesn't have to be a half-acre lot. It doesn't have to be a 3-acre lot. Then you're talking about $1 million homes, and the average person can't afford that, which is not what you want. But I think you have, like, that what you said is exactly what I'm afraid of. I don't know that those back country roads, as they sit today, can handle the kind of traffic that would come from houses that are literally right on top of each
And
other.
it would be great to have a traffic impact study that you can see, Ms. Fisher, and you can really see, if that's true. Because I think that
Right.
sometimes we feel a certain way, but a study actually tells us exactly what it's like.
And that would be all 4 roads, because Cowden Road, or rather Coomer Road, it starts there at the 4-way stop sign. It goes out, and there's only, when you go out, to hit Muse Bishop, you can either only go right to Muse or straight across to Burnside Road. You can't make the extreme left to go to Cecil or down to Bishop, because the one side
Excuse
of
me,
the
please,
road.
Darlene has the floor. Please listen.
Pardon me?
No, I was talking to
Okay.
the,
So what I'm saying is that Coomer Road is probably a better width road than Glass Hill. You take your life into your own hands going down Glass Hill, and especially during school bus time. Those school buses start down that hill. We have turned school bus, Can McMillan school buses have been turned in, because they come across and they go out Chaffoni Road, and our police officer,
Darlene,
Sean
hang on one
Makovinsky,
second.
he knows
Darlene,
what
hang on one
we've
second.
been up
Guys,
against.
please don't talk
So-
while she's talking.
So anyway, what I'm saying is that it is rural roads, no lines painted on in the middle, and there's no stop sign at the top of Glass Hill. To continue on to pick up Chaffoni Road, they just come flying across there. So what I'm saying, it is a tough situation with the roads there. However, like you said, if you do a traffic study, how's the traffic going to impact us?
And we'll get that done by Wooster, a traffic engineer in the area. That does a lot of developments, commercial and residential. Have a lot of experience with this. It'll be reputable.
Is that something you guys would look to possibly disperse the traffic onto all 4 of those roads coming into that property?
Well, from all the traffic studies I've seen, disbursement goes naturally. The study does the traffic lines going out each way as what the current traffic is, and then they make assumptions based on, are there 80 single-family homes? If it's 80, are they all going to the same place to work, or are they going all spreading out? So their studies show that as far as traffic flow and traffic patterns. And then if the next
well, excuse me, if the traffic study shows that it won't work what you're proposing, then you just can't do it. It's not a question, it's not our choice anymore. If it doesn't meet a traffic study, or if you can't meet it, then you can't do the development that way, and you'd have to come up with a new plan. So it might be less homes or something, depending on the traffic study. But I know you're not going to spend money on a traffic study and things like that without you actually, having the property rezoned. So I guess, we might know something tonight.
And
Well,
again,
I would-
we just appreciate you guys letting us be here to talk and answer your questions.
Why don't we give anybody from the audience, if they, or the residents, if they want to come up and ask any questions or make any comments, if you want to come up, please come up here and just form a queue and then come up to the microphone. We have a meeting at 7, and if we don't get to it, we're going to have to continue this hearing. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Valjean Schifoni, 141 Burnside
Please,
Road.
she got to get the microphone, Jack. Hand her
Down
the.
here. Valjean Schifoni, 141 Burnside Road. I'm the property owner. I'm here because of
Hey,
the,
excuse me, please. Hey, guys, please. Valjean has the floor.
I'm concerned because some of the neighbors were upset about the redevelopment that's going to happen over there. And one of the neighbors doesn't even own, her property doesn't even touch it. Glass Hill belongs to Elizabeth's property. Elizabeth has probably close to 900 acres, and it's up for sale if you look on your phone. And I don't know what they're gonna do with that property. But Paul and I have been wanting to sell this property for 10 years. A development, they were gonna do it before, it was taken out. And this one, before we die, we would like to have that money to improve the farm that we live on. We wanna build a new barn. Our barn burned down last year. We wanna replace it. And we wanna continue our farm business. And I am so upset about this because we've been wanting to do this for years. Paul and I are in our 70s and we want to semi-retire. And I am concerned with my neighbors. They're upset about the community. I live on Burnside Road and there is Heartland, Ryan, Miranda, and my traffic pattern has not got that bad. It is decent. It is, matter of fact, I don't even notice the traffic pattern. Most of the people who travel there go on to the interstate up through South Point. This property, there is a development that's in the books if you look for it. The state was going to expand Route 50. They have the money put away somewhere. And they're gonna go through that area through Cecil someday. And with the development of the turnpike, Cecil is going to expand very large in the future. And we should not stop progress for our children and our grandchildren. That's it.
Thank you, Valjean. Anybody, go ahead, you next. Give us your name for the record, please.
Jim Zamiska, 523 Burnside Road. I just have a couple things. First of all, it is a beautiful piece of property. The way to keep it beautiful is to not develop it. And I think that's the opinion of a lot of people around here, number one. Number two, the bottom line is if this gets approved, they can do anything they want under the guise of the MUR. So if you approve this without a written plan or traffic plan or anything like that, and you say, well, we want 100-foot front parcels, they say, we don't have to give those to you, it's an MUR. So you can want and wish all you want. If this gets approved, they are able to develop under the guise of that MUR guidelines. So personally, why wouldn't we see the plan, understand the traffic, before we do something that ties our hands? Number three, I live on Burnside Road, and the McConnell commune up there has done more for traffic. It's horrible, horrible. The traffic is insane on Burnside Road now, coming towards Muse Bishop. The other thing is, Coomer is a dead end. And if you think it's not, one of these, I gotta talk to Chief Buck one of these days, because the detour for Coomer Road is to come across to Burnside, pull into Batista, back out onto Burnside with the new people flying down through there, you know, wheels screech and everything else, because these people are backing out onto Burnside to go back down to make the right. That's the detour for Coomer Road. You guys don't know this, but it is. I live right there, Batista Road. I put up my mailbox 17 times now because of this detour, because they back into my mailbox. The bottom line is it will increase traffic a lot. The studies and presentation of the plan should be done before the approval of the MUR so that we can understand that, yes, we're basing this approval on this, not here's your approval, have at it. And that's what's going to happen. If I had carte blanche based on the guidelines of the MUR, I'm going to do whatever's in best interest of me because you gave me that approval to do.
Yep.
That's all I got. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, my name's Taylor Zamiska, and I also live at 523 Burnside Road. I just wanted to add on that as a child and grandchildren, as soon as he said Ryan Holmes, I was completely turned off. That whole McConnell's Trail thing is not only an eyesore, but it was created water issues. You want to talk about, for our children and grandchildren, the park was flooded for half the year. I mean, we should be, it's just, the schools are overcrowded, and I understand that we can't completely stop what somebody wants to do with their property. And to be fair, I didn't do my research well enough to know what the difference between an R1 and an MUR is, but R1 has the words low density in it, and that's all I need to know. The bigger properties, the less, cookie cutter, squeezing everything in there, the better. And I'm not trying to deter people from moving to Cecil, but I even saw on the Facebook comments you guys were referring to that a lot of people have come here to get away from the overcrowding and the developments. So I don't think that's really a selling point. As well as they also just admitted that it was their medium property was $500,000. They can't afford to do the traffic study. You're saying that they're saying that they can't tell you how it's going to affect the roads because of the traffic study. But if you're trying to make this much money off of a development, wouldn't you spend that money to make the money? So it's obviously they're waiting for you to change this to the MUR. So I just wanted to throw my thing out there. They scoffed at the 95 feet or whatever, and I just don't agree with it. We put up a fence around to try to deter the noise from the road. I cross the road to walk my dog, and it is during rush hour. I mean, if we're talking purely roads, then yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. And if we're talking as far as the future of Cecil, I think one of the things that makes Cecil great is that it's a small town. That's just my opinion. Sorry. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Bob Mikulski. I live on 27 Glass Hill Road. And I'm listening to all the concerns here from everybody this evening, and they're all valid. I've lived here for 45, 46 years, since 1978. And the property we're talking about, my neighbor, Butchie and Valjean, they've allowed me to hunt on their property. So yeah, I'd love it to be woods for the rest of our lives. But this is a real world. And like Valjean said, her and Butchie bought that property as an investment years ago. And, they're getting to the point where they want to see something set aside for their kids and grandkids. And how can you tell them no? Because if the township, if this is I think with Mr. Hogan, what they're asking for, I don't think it's unreasonable. If anybody, since I'm the only house on Glass Hill Road, I should be most against this, but I'm not. It's Valjean and Butchie's property. They have a right to sell it. They have a right to sell it to somebody who's going to be within the parameters of our township. Cindy, you're asking them about, why don't you do this or why don't you do that? It's really not your decision. I know you're a supervisor to vote on it, but it's not I don't feel it's your decision. I feel that they're looking at the township ordinances that you guys all agreed on. And now, once you agree on it, and they're trying to do something that's going to fit within those parameters of the ordinances, I see no reason for you guys not to seriously consider it. They're not asking to do something. They're not asking to turn it to commercial. They're talking about building some single-family homes. And even though I do building in that, I don't work for Ryan Homes, so I'm not even involved so far as me building or doing work for them. And my schedule for my private clients is scheduled for over a year in advance. So I'm not looking for work. So I'm not looking, if anything, I should be against it because I am the only home on Glass Hill Road that I am going to be affected the most. And as much as I would love it to say woods forever, yeah, that's why I bought the house years ago, 45 years ago. I've got to enjoy the freedom of our township, being a very rural community and being able to do what we do out here. But on the same token, Butchie and Valjean have a right to do what they want. They're the one who bought the property. And I see all these concerns. I come to these meetings quite often. I see all the concerned citizens here. They all want to rally up and, yeah, this is great, this is great. The problem is if it's so great, then open your checkbook and buy the damn property yourself and leave it woods. Nobody wants to do that. You're asking that this young man here, he wants to develop this property. The reason they don't want to put in 100-foot wide lots is because it costs so much to put these municipal bonds up today to come back through our township. It's so expensive. Our township requires so much for these municipal bonds to be put up and to meet our township specifications. Years ago, you just came in, they put a gravel road in, and there was a housing plan put in. And you know some of the places here in Cecil I'm talking about.
Well, we have time, we got to let other people.
I have
a
one
chance.
thing I just want to say very quickly, and
Yes,
it
ma'am.
doesn't require a response. I wholeheartedly disagree with what you said. I not only have a right, but I have an obligation to ask questions about their plans before I vote. That's why I was elected. That's why all 5 of us were elected to sit here as to ask. And my questions about the lot size were no different than Supervisor Barney's. We all have an obligation to ask those questions. So the fact, look, listen, Supervisor Cassiola said it during the oil and gas hearing, and he was 100% right. You have a right to do what you want with your property as long as it doesn't impact your neighbor. Our obligation as a board is to make sure that that property, that change that they're asking for, doesn't impact the neighbors. I don't need a response at this point. You've more than surpassed your 3 minutes. We understand your point.
Yes,
Thanks, Bob.
thank you.
Kevin?
Hi, Kevin Camerson on 15 Swahart Road. As has been brought up, access should be, it should have been a issue with the planning commission, and I see a majority of supervisors have that question also. I just kind of want to talk about, the access. I'm not going to talk about Coomber Road and Muse Bishop. We all know about that. You can't make a left, and it's bad there. But, nobody's bringing up, okay, well, the other way, going out, towards the west on Vincenti, you come to 980, the sight distance to the left is almost none. You have a hump. And then on the right, people coming up the hill, you can barely see that way. Bob talked about Glass Hill. Coming down Glass Hill, you got the Montour Trail going across that, those bridge abutments. You can barely pass 2 cars there. So so that's Glass Hill. We talked about Vincenti. Now talk about Chiffoni Road where it hits, Muse Bishop. They're right there. People coming up Muse Bishop, most of the time they don't put their turn signals on, and what they do, they come flying on a Harrow Road. It's not a bad intersection. Then maybe conveniently, everybody's forgetting about the access down to Old Montour, okay? That road's paved now. You come down there, there's the trail that crosses, bicycles coming across, people walking across. You need to think about all that. And if the traffic study comes back and says these intersections or whatever needs upgraded, who's paying for it?
Dan?
Impact fees, or can developers
No,
say,
it's not an impact fee. That's something that if they can't meet a traffic study, they can decide to upgrade those intersections if they want to do it on their own, but they can't set aside a traffic study. So if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Okay, thanks.
Hello, my name's Hayden Kem. I'm from 43 Creedmoor. I'd just like to quickly look around the room, and I think I'm safe to say I'm one of the youngest people speaking here tonight. And this is also my first meeting attending as a resident of our great township. I'm 28 years old and a lifelong resident of Cecil. I'd first like to compare my life to my grandparents and my father, who were also lifelong residents of Cecil. I currently live in my great-great-grandparents' home. I attended the former Cecil Elementary School, the same as my late father did, who passed away of August of 2023. I can recall countless stories my father told me of all the Cecil farms and woodlands that have since disappeared, overcome by urban development of houses and industrial buildings. Tonight, yet another green space is proposed to be taken away from us. People move to Cecil to escape the hustle and bustle of other communities and cities, which is what makes Cecil unique. But with all of the new recent development, Cecil is becoming quickly just like them. So what makes us unique now? Does no one take pride in their communities anymore to differentiate themselves? What do we have to become? Do we have to become like everybody else? I attended university and graduated with a bachelor's degree in environmental studies. Now, I'm not a tree hugger by any means, and one has to know the importance between rural greenscape and developments of homes and businesses. But where is the balance here? There has to be some sort of compromise and limits to the woodlands and farmland being overtaken for home developments that are built quickly around our township. And on top of that, a lot of them do look the same. And what about the wildlife? Where do they relocate to? And the flooding issues this proposes. The park already goes underwater with even the smallest storm, let alone the big ones that wash the picnic tables downstream. And this proposed development is right above the park here. Previously, I mentioned my past, generations of my grandparents and my father, but what about the future, my future children? I want them to enjoy the beauty of our landscape that I enjoyed growing up, but just like my grandparents and my father, it's quickly disappearing. So what will be left for them? I will always carry along two things in my life that my father left me, my last name and the determination to stand up for what I believe in. And that's why I'm here tonight. He would be standing here right by my side, but I'm here tonight speaking for the two of us. Cecil does not need another housing development, and there needs to be some sort of balance. And just wanted to share my story and say thank you.
Greg Sims, 155 Coomer Road. First off, I want to say I'm all for development. I have no issues with people. I mean, you got to move forward. Things are going to get developed. But I have two things that I'm questioning. I was excited about this, thinking that we're going to get some development over in that area. But we were sold, I went through a lot of these comprehensive plan meetings and all this, and we were sold as a community on these properties that were being marked as mixed use. They were going to have some businesses in them. They're going to be a tax base for the township, which is what we needed, more commercial type of, not full commercial, but commercial type of businesses. And there's only so many of these properties that have that ability. And from what I've heard so far, we might as well leave it residential and let them build a housing plan. We're taking away one of our large pieces of property that could be developed into commercial businesses, restaurants, little things like that with houses together, and we're losing it. It's just going to go away to houses. And it sounds like it's just a residential piece of property to me, and I don't think you should make this change until we have a plan that matches our comprehensive plan, which is put some businesses in there as well as residential, because we could use them. Cecil needs it. That's the first thing. Second thing is there's a second piece of property on Coomer Road that's been marked for this meeting, and it's not in the agenda, and it's supposed to change. It's a 5-acre parcel that's next to this, or did they just put the sign in the wrong place? Because it doesn't say anything about
What, Jack?
Jafoni on it.
I posted everything that was impacted by this decision, so it's property across the street as well on all sides, so,
Okay, so those aren't changing? Okay, so it's just the one lot, okay. That's what I wanted. But I think this seems, to vote on this and change it seems way premature to what we really know what is going to happen with the property, because the last thing you want to do is get stuck. It sounds like we're going to get pigeonholed. I think there needs to be some businesses in there because we need them.
Thank you, Greg.
AC Rowland, 52 Sycamore Street. My question is there any chance of this property going for some green uses? Is there any way that we maybe could implement turning it into a property that could be sold, could make money, could bring income into the township and still be more of a green base, more animal friendly? Would you as developers be willing to invest in something that's not houses but for our planet? Then they could sell their property, they could semi-retire, And you guys could be leaders in our community by taking this property into the next step, a green technology, be it, there's so many options. There's everything from businesses that are, with Trump in now, they're all about buying America. Make it into a green-based infrastructure for America, be it soy products, be it mustards that all can be turned into green technology, green fossil fuels, or the wind stuff isn't so great because they still need to do some of the new stuff looks better, but even some of the solar options. We have a plant coming back online that was part of, a major leak. I mean, if we can look into abilities to help our community, help this base that everybody wants to bring income into our township, why does it always have to be just more take? Can you not do something to help us give back? And it benefits us all. Thank you.
We need to close this hearing. We have a meeting, a public meeting, starting immediately following. I know the board will take it under consideration and, could be tabled this month. It depends on what the majority of the board wants to do. But there's an item on the agenda, and we will address it one way or the other. So thank you for coming, and we'll declare this hearing closed. Now, we're going to go, if you want to take a minute to go to the bathroom or something like that, you're welcome to go. We're going to start shortly.
You met him? Did you meet him? Okay.